Stop it. Stop waiting around, waiting for the right time or for when you're ready, and start doing. So many people fail before they even get started. They stay in one place and assume that one day they'll get a feeling that will let them know it's time to take the next step. Well, screw your feelings. Stop waiting and start doing. Welcome to the Ellory Wells Show. Hi, and welcome to the Ellory Wells Show, where real entrepreneurs talk about real problems and real goals and real solutions to help you start, build, and grow your business. I'm your host, Ellory Wells. Welcome to the show. So that was the intro for a post. I've never done this before. I usually do, or in the past I have done this is what I did blog about, but this one, what I just told you is this is what I'm going to blog about. It's a post called Stop Waiting, Start Doing. Sorry, I'm eating my afternoon snack. That's part of that's not why the podcast is a little bit late this week, but that's beside the point. Anyway, go to ElloryWells.com/startdoing. There's no dash in there, and you can find that post on Monday. I don't know what is. Oh, that's going to be Memorial Day, I think. Man, you'd be surprised when you work from home and you don't have coworkers talking about what they're going to do over the long weekend. You kind of lose track of time, even more so than just normally working from home when you occasionally interact with other. I don't have to worry about office hours or, getting permission, and I don't have to worry about getting, boozed up over the weekend so I can forget about all of the crappy things that I have to do during the week. Anyway, I wrote this post, Stop Waiting, Start Doing, and it fired me up. I punched out, let's see, what is this? I punched out over 500 words, 557 words in just a few minutes this morning. I don't remember what it was. I saw something on Facebook, and you guys know that I've got coaching clients, I've got masterminds, and these aren't just like things that I say. These people actually exist. I'm not just saying I have clients and I don't actually have anything. So I deal with, that sounds negative. I get to work with these fantastically driven people who are goal-oriented and want to do things. And what frustrates me the most, and it's beyond the people that I work with. I do it myself. We have an idea for what needs to be done, but we don't do it. Why do we let that happen? Why do we let fear, laziness, procrastination, I don't know, fill in the adjective, adverb. I write a lot, but I don't know the difference between an adjective, adverb. I think adverbs have ly. But anyway, why do we let whatever it is that is keeping us from doing what we know we should be doing, why do we let those things get in the way? And I remember now. There was a video I watched from Gary Vaynerchuk, and it says, beep, I'm gonna and start doing. And I watched it and I was like, you're right, Gary. I mean, he's a pretty smart dude anyway, but anyway, I want you to check out this post, because in order to win, you have to stop waiting and start doing. If it's the right thing to do, do it. If it scares you, do it. If it's hard, then you absolutely must do it. And that's what I want to sink in with you for a second. If you want something to happen, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. If you want something to happen, you have to be the one to do it. Go out and make the sales calls. Go pound the pavement. Send the emails. Do the work. Anyway, that's not the topic for today. What I want to talk about is, how do you know if you should start charging for your work? One of my mastermind clients, John Stolpe, who has been on the Ellory Wells Show, he is in a position in his personal life to where people are coming to him for advice. And his question, the question that he brought to the mastermind group is, should I start paying? Or should I start charging, rather? Should I start charging people? Would people pay? How much do I charge? What do I give up in order to do this as part of a business? Do I want to be a business? And how does when money changes hands, what happens to the dynamic of the relationship? I think this is a very valuable episode for there's some incredible insights that come out from Amy, John, and Matt that I think you will find a tremendous amount of value in. But you'll also get to see what the mastermind experience is, but you'll also get to see the evolution of thought that goes when you're trying to decide if you want to generate revenue or not. Now, I'm pissed off because I downloaded my snaps on Snapchat yesterday. I was taking community Q&A, and I can't find them on my phone. Supposedly they downloaded, I can't find them. But I got a question from Bridget. So Bridget, if you're listening to this, thank you for submitting the question. I wish I could repurpose that because Bridget told me it was really great. She messaged me on Facebook. So anyway, she had a similar question. How do I know when to start charging people? She is also in a similar position, and maybe you are too. Hopefully, you're at a position, maybe you're like these guys that are wanting to open up the donut shop here in Round Rock. We've been needing a donut shop for a long time. There's a Shipley's up north. There's one down south. We're finally getting one, and I love donuts. They were finally getting one like a mile from the house, and that's pretty awesome. But maybe you're at this point, maybe where these donut people are, where they are at right before they decided to sign the lease and open this business. Or maybe you are like John or Bridget and you're looking at being a coach or a mentor of some sort. And how do you make that leap from sharing friendly advice to paying or charging people for it? I'm getting pay and charge mixed up today. I don't know why. But how do you make the decision to start charging? And then how do you decide if it's worth your time? Because we have, 24 hours in the day, right? So we have to give something up in order to take something else on. So is there a dollar figure that you can place on it that would make that an easier decision? So if that's you, I think, I'm pretty sure you will find a lot of value in this episode. I'm eager to share it with you. By the way, man, there's a lot of like caveats. I've heard that successful people are ADD. I am not quite as successful as I would like to be, and I don't know that I have necessarily ADD, but my mind goes in a variety of directions all at the same time. Maybe that is the definition of ADD and I just have been in denial. I don't know. And now I've kind of lost my train of thought, but I found it again. So I've been getting more feedback about the Ellory Wells Show than I think I ever did with the Empowered Podcast. And it's kind of odd. It's, well, what am I doing different? Mike, I'll call him Mike S., sent me an email just the other day. He said, I like it. I caught the first few episodes of the new show, and I really like the style and format. I think you're really getting it dialed in. I just wanted to say good work and congratulations. How's your audience responding? Mike. Well, Mike, I'll answer your question right now. I've been getting more feedback. And it's not just like overwhelming, like what do I do with all these calls and emails, but I'm getting more feedback about this show than I did about the Empowered Podcast. So I thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being in the audience, and thank you for sending me those calls, texts, emails, Facebook messages. I love hearing them. I love hearing about it. So thank you, Mike S., for sending that email, and for everybody else who has sent me feedback along the way. I really appreciate it. You will never send me too many emails, even if it's not just praise, but like, hey, have you thought about doing this? Or can you do this? I would like to take more Q&A, more things that will help you where you are. Like I did the Q&A on Snapchat, I would like to do that increasingly on the podcast as well. So without further ado, let's go right into this call. Like I said, it is pulled from a live call. I didn't plan on putting this out there, but at the end, I thought, man, this is really fantastic, and I think this evolution of thought would really help someone in the audience. So I wanted to repurpose it. It recorded it just a little bit ago, but I dragged my feet. I've been reading fiction, the Gray Man novels by Mark Greeny, and I've been playing Tom Clancy's The Division, so I apologize for not getting this out to you sooner. So let's do it. Let's go right into this call. How do I know if I should charge for my work? Good job on the wins. Now let's talk about what you've been up to, what you've been working on, what's working, what's not, what we can help you with. You know the drill.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to touch base on, and we can kind of figure out which, you guys can kind of steer which way you want to go. One of them, incidentally, is something you are snapping about today, and I haven't had a chance to listen to any of your snaps yet, but I think one of my struggles is figuring out how to keep my list warm, my email list. I feel like I don't spend hardly any time doing that, and thoughts and encouragement along that would be helpful. The other thing that I wanted to throw out there is something I kind of threw out in the Facebook group related to the fact that I've been approached by multiple people over the last few months about, in essence, mentoring them as like a father and a husband and whatever, just a man. And I don't have the bandwidth to meet with all these people that I think that they would want to have. And so doesn't mean I don't want to. I'd love to, but I'm trying to figure that out. And I know, Amy, you had mentioned something in the comments about maybe considering some sort of mastermind group with them. So I wouldn't mind mulling over that a little bit out loud with you guys as well, too.
What's the context that they're reaching out to you, John? Are these people from church? Are they from work? Where are they coming from? Because I think
that's a good question. They're the ones I'm thinking of are from church. So I've had a couple guys who have just come up to me and say, "Hey, I hear you're the guy to talk to because you must have everybody after you. I keep hearing your name come up, and I'd love to talk to you. I'm a younger father, a younger husband, and I want to learn from you because, your kids have turned out really great. You've got a marriage that's doing pretty well. I'm sure life isn't perfect, but you seem like you've got a lot going your way. And, that's cool. It's just, how do I do that in a way that is sustainable for me?
And my thought was, with the mastermind, you say, okay, well, I've never done this before. I want to take only 5 guys or 4. So you give them each one-on-one time so they can get the best of you, but everyone else is hearing the experiences, and you have a 6-month just trial, or you say, I'm only going to commit for these 90 days, and then we'll figure it out from there, and then we'll reevaluate. But those experiences, I'll never use your real name, but what you're learning, this is what a man is going through and what fatherhood means today. Oh my gosh, my husband's biggest thing is, why on earth are there billboards everywhere that say, be a dad or fatherhood? Because it's a lost art. People have forgotten the importance of family. And when did a night playing video games become more important than the family? That kind of a thing. And that's what society's struggling with. You have the spiritual background and that foundation, plus success in your overall life, that what you're doing is just collecting the stories that you can create this for your next book of this is what's happening. That's what my thought was.
John, are you old enough to know or remember Promise Keepers?
Yeah.
It's what it seems like that I know people who went through that, and they're filling stadiums with that kind of stuff, and it was all focused towards men and kind of like what you're talking about. It seemed like a very similar message to me. I don't know much about that or all of the questions that you're getting, but it seemed like that. So there was a need for that 20 years ago, and the divorce rate's gone up. All of these negative rates have gone up. So I don't think that the world or the country needs that less than we used to. The reason why I asked, and feel free to disagree with me, guys. I would love to be wrong on this, but it seems like in the church atmosphere, they're wanting you to let's have a guy's life group, or let's meet on Wednesdays after church at somebody's house. Not that that's what you would want to do, but my suspicion would be that that's what they would be looking for. Again, I would love to be wrong and you be able to charge some money for this, but.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not sure about the money side of it, but these are people who are like, hey, can you meet at the bar with me so that we can talk, more one-on-one? One of the guys is somebody I am in an active men's group with. So he's just seen me over the past few years that we've known each other. And he's like, he's got really young kids. He's like, this is who I need to talk to on a deeper level. And that was a similar conversation I had just a week or two ago with somebody else. And, I hate to say no to them, but I'm like, and so I don't say no right away, but there's part of me that's like, I don't know when I'm going to, fit that in with everything else going on.
So what if you thought about it this way, John? Because it's all, everything is a trade-off.
Yep.
Everything in life is. So what would make it worth it to you? You said, Hannah and all of the 24 kids that I've got, I can't do this tonight, but I'm doing this, I'm saving the money so that I can't hang out with you. I'm meeting with these guys and you're charging them a pretty penny so that you can take them on a nice vacation. So you go in for the purpose. Is there a dollar amount or a value return that would make it worth it to you to say, kids, I can't on Wednesdays or Thursdays, but when this is done, we go to Disney World or we go and we build more houses or whatever. Is there a point that it does become worth it to you?
Well, and is it something that you're thinking that you would charge for, or is it something that you feel like you just are being called to do, like, not for charity, but just for helping out,
And it could be that too. Yeah, that's absolutely valid.
And if that's the case, I think it's perfectly acceptable to follow up with a couple of questions. One being, is it an emergency? Is it urgent? Is life, like, is there something burning down that I can help you with? Like, are they on the brink of divorce or bankruptcy or something like that? And if the answer to that question is no, then I think it's also acceptable to say, my bandwidth is taxed right now. I'm going to Guatemala next month. My daughter's leaving for college in the fall. Like, if I want to talk with you, but I can do it in a couple of months when some things free up, like after August, then we can have some time. Because,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well, like, the world's not going to, unless it's a dire emergency, it's not going to burn down between now and August when you may or may not, but I'm assuming that after Guatemala, things might free up a little bit for you. But, and after you get your daughter off to college, things might free up a little bit for you. So if you can put them off a bit, tell them you're still listening, but just give them a little bit of grace, or have them give you a little bit of grace on your time.
That's a good idea.
Or maybe, throwing it, not to just throw spaghetti on the wall, but I mean, what if you did, I like Amy's thing, I take notes, record the sessions, and then I like the book idea. I mean, you obviously like writing. You've been blogging for years, and you turned it into, the modern day guy's life to having a quality family or whatever. And it becomes research for your next book.
And then you could you could promote it on The Art of Manliness. And what's that other one? School of Man. And there are so many podcasts just about what it means to be a man, because it's changed from what it was 20 years ago. And the role of fatherhood. One thing that I just feel really inspired to say is that it's not going to be the same. They won't respect your time as much if you meet at the bar for a drink. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As a business model, you really want to make sure that this is so you find the perfect location. If it's a conference room at the library, it's not a Starbucks. This is somewhere very professional, that this is something, we're just going to have a good heart-to-heart here.
Maybe it's a room at the church.
Yeah. They might ask for time at the bar because they think it's an innocent kind of escape, but I think that calls for something deeper, something a little more connected than that.
And if you say at the bar, we'll meet at 7:30 and they don't show up till 8:15, well, they just took a big chunk of your time and didn't respect it. And most people won't. Most people will be there on time, but that is your most precious resource right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it'd be really, really cool, and it would be a nice way to pivot it to say, look, I would love to do this, and all of this money, I'm going to take 25% directly for the Guatemala homes. If you can, in your business model, in the model that you set it up for a price, this much is the proceeds are going here, and people seem to want to buy even more when they know that they're.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Renee, who does the jewelry, also in the Facebook group, she went to a forum. I think it was Danny Inney stuff, and Iney, whatever, and asked if people had this kind of altruistic, this give back undertone to their business. They told her she was stupid. Nobody did this. Why would you ever want to do that? Wow. She was really scared to ask me that question. And I was like, Renee, they're the idiots. Have you ever heard of Tom's Shoes?
Yeah.
And that was
Pencils
what
of Promise, everything.
Thrive Conference was about. And I think that's a good point to make, Amy, and for you, John, to people, if you have the argument that somebody made it at Thrive was that if we're given the option between two relatively equal companies, however, one of them had a give back purpose to it, most people would choose to go with the company that gives back in some way. It doesn't make up for lacking in other ways or crappy product or service or something like that. But if we have the choice on two equals, we go. So I told that to Renee, and she started doing her big thing is about food, and she is now taking proceeds from her jewelry and buying lunches or helping kids that need food in Chicago.
Wow.
So I'm glad that came up because that was a funny story with Renee, that depending on who you ask, you might get told that you're dumb and that's a bad idea, like she was in this forum by bunches of people. And I did a quick Google search, and there are Forbes articles, Entrepreneur articles, Inc. articles about companies that do that. So it's definitely a way to something to incorporate into your business if you want to. Good point out there, Amy. But that, John, would allow you to put a set time on it instead of it being like, we'll meet when I get back or whatever. Let's meet right now, and this will fund the thing that I'm doing in 2 months, or start racking up money for next year or something.
So let's be real about this. Go ahead, John.
No, go ahead.
No, how much do you want to make one night? How much is your time worth one evening? Why is Ellory laughing?
I immediately went to prostitution. How much do you want to make in one night?
I have no
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you asked, I'd share the joke.
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I would think that, if I could make, I don't know, $50 or $100 in a night for an hour of time, I mean, that would be pretty much worth it.
I think you could start at $250 a night. If each person was paying $50 for 2 hours of intense fatherhood and the stuff at the core, it could be profitable. Do you agree, guys? Am I out there?
Yeah. I think you could.
Yeah. There was a plane taking off, so I didn't want to unmute it right at the moment. No, I agree. And especially if you did, I think if you do a group, you're more likely to be able to lower the price. So even if 50 is too much, you could cut it down to 40, and make that easier. You could go 5 or 6 people in that ballpark and still keep a really intensive 2-hour roundtable, with you as the moderator. And I think that does lend itself. I mean, you're walking away with, $240, $250 in that ballpark. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the round table is genius, Matt. That could be the name of it. Maybe it's the man's round table, or I don't know, fatherhood, round table of fatherhood, or I don't know, the Christian round table. Something
fathers
like
in the round.
Fathers in the round. Not straight fatherhood. No, that takes it. No.
Right, no.
That's a whole different direction.
Oh, goodness. This call.
Hey, John, you got a lot of thoughts on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I'm trying to grab how do I approach these, guys who have already talked to me, and how do I vet and pull in other people? Do we meet in person? Do we meet online? If I start doing it at a certain level, it would almost make sense to do it virtually. I'm trying to process what that looks like.
I wouldn't think virtual for you right now. I mean, maybe, but who are the people that you're talking about have hugged you, shaken your hand, and they live within 10 or 20 minutes of a central location, right? If they can't make it to Joe's bar, I'm just kidding. If they can't make it to the meeting location, they're not going to log in.
True.
And this question should be asked, but do you want to? This question should be asked first. Do you want to do this? Do you want to?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, yes, part of me really does. I want to be able to help these guys. I do feel like, I've had people who have invested in me. In fact, I think I wrote about it on my blog, on my Monday post, about how people have invested in me. And I don't want to say obligation, but I feel like it's a privilege to be able to carry that torch and leave that legacy forward for other people. I even feel that way about the teenagers who I serve. I serve as an adult youth leader at our youth group. I can't always stand being there, but I feel like it is, I do have the opportunity to really invest in these kids.
Yeah.
That was just being honest.
I completely agree.
Most of the nights are fine, but there's some times where I'm like, Sunday night, I would just like to be at home. That's okay. Now I know what my youth leaders felt like.
Somebody once said, I think one of the best things some of the people that have sort of mentored me in the last, year or so, live by the mantra that when you reach a certain point in your life, it's sort of your duty or your obligation to send the elevator back down, right? Like, and so to that extent, to reach back and help guide people along the path you've come along their journey. And it doesn't mean it has to be done for free, but I think it does bring a certain amount of balance as to what's going to be offered as a function of your time and what can be charged for. So I think those are the first two questions. The first one is, do you want to do it? The second one is it something that you do, or is it, basically, do you charge for it? So I think those are the first two questions, because I haven't heard from you the level of confidence on both of those questions that I think it would take.
Let me change that a little bit. The confidence, I think the desire is there, the confidence can come later. I was terrified to start my first mastermind. I think I told you guys I wanted to charge the $7 because that's what we pay for Netflix. And I was like, that's not going to, but I've been pulled this direction. So the confidence can come later. But the question of, do you want to? Absolutely. And do you want to charge for it? That was my first question before I realized I should ask you if you wanted to. So fantastic point, Matt. Because when you charge for something, it changes the dynamic. If you wrote a blog post and you told somebody what to do and you gave it away for free and it didn't work, or someone didn't like it, or they got bad results, sorry, it's free. But if somebody paid you $10 for the book, you're like, people, they went to work odds are at a job that they do not enjoy to make money to buy my book. Holy crap, what is in that book? And is it worth what they did? So it changes the dynamic. So the question is, do you want to do it? If the answer is yes, we move to the next question. Should you charge? And you can still do it and not charge. Because what if I tell this guy something that has worked for me and it doesn't work and he goes further into debt or he ends up getting divorced? I mean, that's a real problem that you could be facing in 3 months. I've been working with this guy and his marriage is still falling apart, or he's not getting out of debt. Those are like heavy questions that will your attitude towards it will change if you charge versus if not, or if you charge a lot versus not, or if you do it or not. I mean, a guy could come up to you after church and be like, man, I just feel like things aren't going well at home. And you say, are you going on date nights? Are you spending some dedicated time? No, I'm not. And well, maybe you should, or yeah, and it's not working. In that casual passing advice, you don't see him again for 3, it's not a big deal. But I don't want to scare you off, but that's one of the things that I have had to come to terms with doing this is like, you guys change your lives, not like in this big way, but like you make small changes along the way based on the conversations that we have. And it's a lot of pressure to stay on top of things, continually learn, to fill in the blank. And when you introduce that into the dynamic with these guys from church, it will be an incredible and amazing but heavy experience for you.
Yeah, and I think that some of that charging versus not charging, if it's all just guys from my church, I'm not sure that it would almost be like a small group almost. So I'm not sure that would be something I would feel comfortable charging for necessarily. But, if it became something where I'm pulling in other people outside of that circle, I don't know. I almost think that I would have to.
I think you use the guys from church as a case study. Like, that's your test run. Embrace the invisibility and learn from.
Yeah.
Like, make some mistakes there where you don't owe them, like they don't owe you anything. Cut your teeth on it, and then you have something tangible where you can say, okay, I can go do this, and you even have reviews or case studies or whatever that you can pull from.
Let me play devil's advocate to all of this again, and say, I don't know if you guys know of or what you think of someone like Joel Osteen, but he makes a boatload of money. Look at Dave Ramsey's stuff. Also makes a boatload of money, but you have to pay for Financial Peace University, and that happens, I think, most of the time at churches. When I went through it, the church, we paid $100 per person or per couple, and I don't know what it costs, but I think the church subsidized part of that. I think it may be like $150 or $200, and they pay half, and the people going through it maybe paid half. I think it was $100. So it's like it's a church thing, but we're also paying for it, and we're learning how to get out of debt. So just because it's church doesn't mean you can't charge. So I know I'm not giving you like, here's the answer, but because it's church, maybe you don't. Because it's church doesn't mean you shouldn't. But hopefully that gives a slightly different perspective for you.
I think one of the cool things is that, at least for two or three of these guys who I've been talking to, I think I can have an honest conversation about, for one, my bandwidth, two, my desire to want to help them. But I feel like I could ask them, about the payment part of it, and have a decent conversation with them, and not feel like I was crossing any boundaries with them. I don't. Two of the guys are in my men's group, and we've committed to meet together for the next 20 years. I do not want anything to come in the way of that. So I want to be careful about how I navigate that, but I feel like both of those guys at least would be very honest with me and give me good feedback on, what they would, what they think other guys would do for such services, so to speak. So it's kind of, it's one of the directions I probably need to pursue.
Yeah, I like that.
I've got a lot of opinions and a small amount maybe of experience. So if you guys want to butt in, let me know. So it depends on how you treat it.
Jump into that, Ellery. I actually have to roll because I have to make it to my gate and get on my flight. So
are you?
I would walk. I wouldn't roll there. You're going to look foolish.
Well, I could, but I'm also going to take the tram over there, which is sort of like rolling. But
crab walk. It's
crab
so
walk.
much more socially acceptable.
Walk over there. Anyway, I will see you guys later. It's been a fun chat.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Bye.
I'd like to win.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
Roll with it.
I really hope that was the last thing that he heard. So it depends on how the dynamic that you set for each group, John. You are the leader. They are coming to you, and if you go in there, and hopefully this comes through, and every time that the 3 or 4 of us get together, it comes through that I want to help you. I want to get you further. And like Renee and Rocco, we worked together for, I don't know, a year or so, and Rocco had some stuff going on and he had to drop, and we're still friends. So don't worry necessarily about losing friends or disrupting a dynamic because of this. Because if you go in there with the right attitude and you set the appropriate tone, it will help that relationship. Now, I don't talk to Rocco or Renee regularly anymore, but we definitely left it on good terms. And Renee messaged me the other day she's being like put on another person's blog or syndicated, or someone wants her to help create the recipes that they sell or something, and she wanted to share that with me first. So there's that, and we don't work. They don't pay me anymore, but the relationship is still good, and it didn't crumble afterward. To give you a second example, and I'll be quiet for a second, Beaton and I mean, we were the best man in each other's weddings, and whenever I asked him if he'd be interested to pay me, I mean, we're friends, it was weird. We had a good relationship before, and then as adults do, it just kind of slowed down, and then now it's like as good or better than it was before. So here you have strangers who paid and then stopped, and then it's still good. And then you have a guy who is a friend first, still is paying me, and we're doing deals together. And it depends on how you handle it. And I don't doubt that you would be able to handle it very well, but don't let the risk of something that might or might not happen ruin a good thing now.
Please tell me you're going to do that at Podcast Movement.
I'll probably have a wireless mic on.
Subtle.
I appreciate
a Yeti and it'll knock a hole in the floor. What was that, John?
I appreciate the feedback. It's something that, has been processing in one sector of my brain. So, it's good to be able to process it out loud with you guys.
Yeah.
What are you thinking now? I mean, more likely to do it, less likely to do it?
I think I'm likely to do it in some form or another. I need to talk to Leanne a little bit about it. It's interesting because for Leanne's business, this is something she could very easily be doing and charging for and whatnot. And so it'd be interesting if I actually precede her and learn a few things and have the opportunity to transfer some of that knowledge to her too. So, because she's getting the same kind of clientele. Obviously, it's not men; it's women who are young moms and fairly newly married, and trying to figure out how to function in this world of different stretching and pulling and distractions and everything. So
that's what I've been thinking this whole time. Is that's really the direction that you're heading, is mentoring as being a role model and a good man, and which is coaching, which is, by any other name. And so that's why I think like this first group could really be something that forces you to stretch, and you've got a lot of material to write on, and helps them stretch, but ultimately is creating this way to impact millions of people, millions of families from what you're doing. This time could be really valuable in your short term and in the long term of what you're doing. It's exciting.
So you think I could record those sessions? Somebody said that earlier.
That's something you could,
to be able to listen to them back. Yeah.
Right? And you just have to get permission from them and just say, look, your confidence is with me, but there's things we can address.
Yeah, cool.
You can always say, I'm going to record them so I can listen back and improve.
Right.
So I don't think I ever asked you guys if I could. We just said this is how it is, so you can play it back. But, hopefully you guys know by now, I don't use anything. I don't even use emails unless I get permission. So you can do the same thing.
Sure. I love this group.
There's so much value that's going to come from this. I think because it's happening, people are asking you over and over, tells you need to do it, tells you, isn't that how God works?
Talk about proof of concept.
Right? Right. Your name keeps coming up. You're the guy. I keep hearing you're the one I need to talk to. If that's happening in your church organization, think about what happens when you open it up and offer it to nobody else but your stretch Facebook group. You got 60 people in there, 30 people? Where are you in that group?
In the stretch Facebook group? I don't know. I should know, but I don't know.
Those are people that specifically want more Stolpe.
Oh, the stretched one. You mean the stretch challenge one? Yeah.
Well, let me ask that same question in a different way. Or maybe with an analogy. You're asking people who are already going to the gym if they want more gym. They don't want to get ripped. What about if you opened it up to all the unhealthy people out there? Like, you're already asking people who are going to church and getting connected in that way. What if you went out?
Go ahead.
I was like, what if you open that up to people who aren't getting the connection with God and other people and going to church on Sundays? How much, even more of an impact you could have? A great question.
Do you think I could throw that out? What fashion could I throw that out there for people to inquire about joining such a group?
What? Say that again. What?
In what way do you think I could throw that out there for people to get back to me to say, hey, I'd like to either know more about this kind of a group, or I'd like to be considered for part of this group?
Free Google Forms. Set up a series of questions, or
an email list. You can start a separate email list specifically about, this is not right now, but in 6 months I'm going to be doing this, or I'm looking to create this. If you're interested, sign up, fill this in.
Yeah, you could do that through tagging and all that other stuff in ActiveCampaign. Practically, you could do that, or you could go in, like what I mean by the form is, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do this, but this is what I'm thinking. Put in your name, your email address, yes or no if you want to opt in. But I would want to talk about marriage, being present in your thing, daily journaling. Honestly, if you really wanted to be tactical about it, you could list the 12 things that are the habits or the disciplines from your book.
Oh gosh.
Being, or like your stretched challenge, being still and all the other ones. So you could follow up with lessons that you could repurpose that content in a way. but go in and ask questions like, what are you struggling with? I mean, this is private, but if I did this, what would be the types of things that you would like to cover? And I mean, to pull back the curtain, that's why I ask you guys those same questions. Like, I want to know, but if you tell me the top 3 things that you want to get out of the mastermind, guess what we're going to talk about? How to get those top 3 things so that you know that you're getting a return on your time. So you could be very strategic or very passive, not the right word, or more general, like, what do you need help with?
So, John, we are right now taking Marriage Oneness at the YMCA, and it's an 8-week course. And 1 week is on about roles and responsibilities in your marriage. 1 week we talked about how do you handle fights, and you're going to have differences in your marriage. How do you discuss that? We just did the week of money, and everything was pointing like, go to Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace. But if you've never done this, here's how to get started. If you've never, I mean, you don't have to have all the answers, but exactly what Ellory is saying is, this is what I'm looking at for 90 days, meet once a week. Here are the 12 topics we're going to discuss. And really what people are struggling with, that's what nobody ever wants to go to somebody and say, okay, I'm a failure in this. But if you're going to have a topic talking about money failure or sexual intimacy, how it's not working or what is working, I mean, there's some real potential here. Then from there, this is what this one preacher did, and then created a workbook from it and sold it as a course across the country. This is bigger than just a couple of guys at church.
I'm glad we're still talking about this, because this literally, no lie, put into practice could be a multi-million-dollar project, not to insult you, but the purpose-driven life. I don't know if that's who you're talking about, Amy, the guy out there in Rick Warren.
I don't know him. Yeah.
But what Amy just said, and this could be one of the most valuable calls that we've had in a long time, or maybe ever. Hopefully it's not all downhill from here. But what people want, like how you make money from book sales, at least in the online marketing world, is you have what are the upsells afterward? Why are people giving away books for free? All you do is pay shipping. How does that make any sense? Well, because there's a link, or you get admittance into a group, and from there are these upsells. So we're talking about these 12 disciplines. These are the ones in my book. I buy the book for $10, or I can get access to this 12-week course for $3.99, or I can get access to John for way more than that. I mean, what we discussed in the last 120 seconds, that is the funnel that authors are looking to do. I haven't read the Jeff Walker's launch formula, but that, I assume, is the formula. We write a book for 10. It's our lead magnet. We have an upsell to a 12-week online course, or in person, or you can pay me. I don't know if you guys remember Farnoosh, one of my very first interviews. She got me turned on to the Prosperous Coach book, and she was telling me she was upping her coaching price to $24,000 a year. Wow. I mean, what we're talking about right now, John, is the formula to do this full time if you want, or just make passive income and pay off the cost. But this is it. Whatever you would want to do with the money or not do with the money. Again, I don't want to intimidate you and say this is this massive project. It starts with one client, and it starts with finishing the book. Mm-hmm. And it can end there if you want, because you like what you do, you like your life. That's why people are coming to you. But this is that conversation where, wow, this is where you fill stadiums like a Rick Warren. This is where you have purpose-driven life and all those other things.
I got chills. And I have to say, and the magic of this, John, is you've got the whole foundation built. You've already got the book. You've already got the stretch steps. You've already got this. It's almost like God is handing this to you of, you are the one that has the message to share this with the world. Because we have billboards on the streets because men don't know how to be a father. It is such a need in the world. Like, I am getting worked up about this because it's so important. Future generations are going to suffer because their dads didn't care. Man, this is exciting.
Now Amy is the one that drops the mic. No, I don't want you to be intimidated, but there's a lot of possibility here that is exciting, and it can be whatever you want it to be. I mean, I didn't know you. Honestly, I don't think I knew you had the Facebook group. But what better way? You're talking about, do I do it in person or virtual? You already got people that want, like Amy said, more John told me. So, start. Ask the question. You'll never know if you don't ask, and then you could turn it into, I mean, just thinking here how you could get started in like 15 minutes. You do it like a form, you ask a question, or you could even do it in Facebook, and it's simple. Enter your name, yes, I would be interested, or no, or just yes, because everybody who's no is going to bounce anyway. And then, okay, well, I'm getting a few signups. We had a few more questions. We have a variety of these topics. Which ones would you be most interested in? Marriage, finance, parenting, religion, work. And then, okay, I'm getting feedback on this. And then you incorporate your 12, you change the questions, get your disciplines in there. But it could start with a very simple question. This is what I'm doing. Would you be interested in? That's how I filled my first mastermind. You get literally the same way. I've got a handful of people that are coming to me asking me very similar questions. I don't know the details, but if I started a mastermind, would you be interested? That's literally what I send in a Facebook message.
And by doing this little by little, as you're growing and progressing and doing a little bit more and one more step, creating this funnel, in 5 years, we're talking 500 homes in Guatemala. I mean, that's the glory. That's the abundance. That's all of it coming together. Like, man.
And if you could tie in a story about like families being under fire in Guatemala because they don't have safe places to live, shoot, it pays for itself.
Yep.
I'm helping people here, and a portion of what we do goes to build houses for people so that they can, like, the entire family can be under one roof and have meals together, and parents can spend time with their kids and watch them grow up instead of homeless, fighting wars or whatever is just the main thing, drugs, prostitution, whatever it is. I mean,
a lot of it's just fathers abandoning their families. That's what I've noticed.
Hello, circle of life. That's crazy. That's crazy that your starting point is your ending. Like, it's all coming together. That's wild. And not only with this, I can see how the time management element could just be overwhelming. If you say Wednesday nights are devoted to this, then when your next step is ready, then when down the road, then you have your interviews on Smart Passive Income, on Fire, on whatever it is, and you have thousands of people wanting to know more about you. You have just declared, like, Wednesday night is a time frame just for this, or whatever, however you do it. Like, you're so in control of this that it's not going to get more than it can be worth.
Oh, my head is exploding.
Mine too. I feel like I want to do some of this with a money mastermind for my little Facebook group. And I don't know where that's headed, but I am lit up. Like, this is supposed to happen.
Yes.
You have to start with a form, and you want to ask them a question.
Okay.
Are you writing this down?
Okay.
Sorry, my stupid humor comes through again.
I love it. Man. This is one of these sessions where I'm just like, I cannot believe I'm part of this, where you see the minds of all of us coming together and the element of faith and all of abundance of whatever the word is, of enlightenment being able to work together. I got chills, man. It's incredible. Thank you.
I did have I was interviewed last week for another podcast. What is it? Something about Never Give Up Hope by Carol Graham. Carol Graham's the host of it. She typically interviews doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists and things like that. And she interviewed me.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of a cool conversation. But anyway, I guess that was another win from last week.
Yeah, way to go. Getting John Stolpe, man. We're all going to work for you someday.
Oh.
Like pulling tickets at your stretch man conference.
I would love to be part of that team for sure.
That would be pretty cool. That would be wild.
That would be
I just have to work on my voice inflection and my vocal variety.
I've been going to training. I've been working with the actors. We can find that. It's inside. To release.
I just had a conversation about that with somebody else. Jason LeDuc, who's in our Facebook group.
He has that lab call every Friday. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And I said we got the same thing, and it's practice to have the highs and the lows and speed up and slow down. It's definitely practice. So we talked about that yesterday. So
nice.
But you got all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah. Hey, I cannot tell you how much I needed this today. I needed to be fed in a good way, and you guys helped. I really appreciate it. Stuff outside of, work has been extremely busy, and then my neighborhood situation is not real fun right now. So, I talked to a lawyer yesterday, and I'm going to be sending him over a bunch of stuff.
So what do you guys need from me? I think this has been one of my favorites, and I really enjoy meeting with you guys every other week. So what do you guys need from me?
I need to watch your snaps from today because I'm really interested in the email sales funnel thing. Trying to keep my list warm. That was one of the other things. At some point, we'll talk about that on a deeper level. But
okay. Well, yeah, they're all there. 7 minutes and 1 second worth. But I'm going to repurpose that as well, so it'll show up on a podcast episode. But,
okay, that would be helpful too. Yeah.
No. Amy, need anything from me?
Nope. Happy, blessed.
Good. We got our schedules, I think, ironed out to your satisfaction.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Y'all have an awesome day, guys.
Word of the day is Stolpe's gangsta. Bye.
You guys are the best. We'll see you.
So I forgot to mention, we picked up right after we shared our wins. That's one of the things that we do every meeting is to share, even if it's a small win, just something that we can be proud of and celebrate with one another. It's something that I don't know if I've always done that, but my friend Marshall Stevenson, the guy who owns and got started with Sockbox CA. It's the one of the, I don't know how big they are compared to the other sock subscription services, but he's not sponsoring this, just a good friend of mine. Thanks for Marshall for all of your guidance, but he's the one that gave me the idea to do the win of the week. So we do that. That's where we picked up. I forgot to mention that, but that's kind of its in media res, as you might say, the English or the Texan version of Latin of being in the middle of the story, and that's where we picked up right there. So what did you think? I want you to email me and let me know what you thought of this call. I see a lot of people who have thought about joining a mastermind or thought about hiring a coach. Not just me, but with working with other people as well. And they don't know if it's worth it or not. They don't know if it's worth the monthly investment, if it's a paid mastermind like mine are, or if it's worth their time to pull an hour or 60, 90 minutes away from their work or what they're doing to get the kind of encouragement, support, accountability, those kinds of things that you heard a little bit about in today's call. I want you to email me and let me know what you thought of the episode, and If you want to apply for the next mastermind, like my new friend Cosmo out there as one of the guys that has applied, you can go to ElloryWells.com/mastermind. If you are having issues with remembering all of the links and tools and tips and tricks that we talked about today, you can always just go to Ellory Wells or just shoot me a note, and I will let you know. I don't need to let me know. I'll let you know what we talked about or where you can find a resource. Because if you haven't figured, we're only 5 episodes in, but if you haven't figured it out, I want to help you. I want you to win. Dang, crap. I really want to curse right now, but there might be someone listening with kids, and I don't want to need that explicit iTunes tag, so I won't. But come on. Why else would I do this? I don't want you to sick to your stomach when you're logging into your work computer. I don't want you to work for a boss that's a douche anymore. I don't want you, Mommy, what's a douche? I can just hear it. Maybe anyway. I want you to be happy. If I can help you move the needle, if I can help you get that first client or get your next client or expand your business, why in the heck would I not do that? That does not hurt me at all. This isn't a zero-sum game. It's entrepreneurship. If I win, you win. If you win, I win. If we all win, we all do better. So it would be stupid for me. I can say asinine because that's not a curse word. It would be asinine for me to be selfish. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to be selfish either, if you are, or if you think that by you winning or someone else winning or your competitor winning, that means you have to fail. We do better when we all do better. That's the goal of the show. I think you have probably picked up on that by now. You're a smart person. I know you are. So we'll wrap up for today. Did you know that I am in iTunes and Stitcher? I bet you did because you listened to the last couple of episodes. But you can always go to ElloryWells.com/iTunes. You can go to ElloryWells.com/Stitcher, and it'll take you right to those platforms. So you don't have no more searching, nothing like that. Also, if you haven't taken my community survey yet, would you please do that? It might take 2 minutes and it might take 20 minutes. Here's why it could differentiate or be different for you. If you just say yes and don't explain, or no and don't explain, you could get through it really quick. If you answer yes to a couple questions, you'll be presented with a few more follow-up questions, like, are you a podcaster? If you say yes, I might ask you, what do you need help with? Or what are you doing well? Or how can I help you? If you say no, you'll just skip that section. So it could be really fast, or it could take you just a little bit of time. But if you have a minute, would you go to ElloryWells.com/survey. Do you need me to spell it? Probably not. SURVEY. Go to ElloryWells.com/survey. And hey, if you're listening to this and it's like 2021, it's like way in the future, that link should, knock on wood, that should still work because it will always take you to my most current survey. So if you're thinking, man, Ellory's already collected the responses, he's already moved on. Nope, I haven't. No excuse for you. So go to ElloryWells.com. I just want to know who you are, what you're about, how I can help you, because as I just ranted for half a second, I want to make your life better. And the surveys tell me what to podcast about, blog about, what type of questions, comments that you have, and they tell me what kind of problems you are facing right now. So thank you for listening to the Ellory Wells Show. It means a lot. Every single download, I don't check the numbers all that often, but I do know that you guys are out there and you're listening, so I want to thank you for that. I want to appreciate it. And if you feel like emailing me like Mike S. did, the one that I mentioned just a minute ago, I would love to hear that. I would love to hear who you are, what you're up to, how I can help you. And by the way, the exit strategy book that I am writing right now, the exit strategy book, I'm almost done. I went through last night and I had taken all of the chapter numbers. I didn't know what to put on there, so I just had the hashtag in there. Last night I went through and I put in chapter numbers, so I'm pretty excited. Ashley is going through and reading it and making notes and critiques and criticisms and suggestions, and we're about ready to print. So I'm pumped. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you want to check out the book, I go into depth with all this kind of stuff, and it is my love letter to the entrepreneur. Go to theexitstrategybook.com. Thank you for listening to the Ellory Wells Show. I am your host, Ellory Wells. Have an awesome day. Stop waiting. Start doing. We'll see you soon.